Okay, guys, welcome back to Wealth and Travel on a Dime. And today we're going to discuss budget and why it's important. Now, I know some people think that budget is just the worst thing in the world. They could never see themselves doing it. But if you truly want to build and create wealth and know where your money's going, you have to have some sort of a budget. Now, there's multiple different kinds of budgeting and ways to do it. I'm not going to try and go into all those, we'd be here forever. But I tend to find there's kind of two different types. One's the very meticulous types. They will end up tracking every dollar. They'll know where every dollar in, every dollar out, track even down to credit card rewards. But we just don't have time to do that. That is a full-time job in itself. We would be spending probably 2 hours a night just doing budgeting. So that's not an option. And then there's the other type, which is what we do, which is more about knowing where your core bills stand and having to pay them yearly, breaking that down to monthly, kind of knowing what you need to have coming in and out. Now, in that budget type, you can split it up even more like we do. We do our core bills, and then we have what we call our disposable income, which is more like food and entertainment and stuff. So we break that separate and have like a floating rate for our disposable, as we call it. Now, at the end of this video, we will discuss our yearly totals and break that down to monthly for you, and also talk about some of our other, like our disposable income, vacation, etc. So you make sure you stay to the end. But that said, the number one thing I want you to understand, we're going to do a whole video on this later, is businesses do not want you to have a budget. They do not want you to know how much you're spending or how much you have in the bank, etc. They really do not want you to even think about it. That's why the rise of auto pay has come about. They want you to spend that money. And if you get into things like gyms, they created auto pay on their end. That way you'd forget about it and keep paying. That is what business today wants you to do. They want that business model where they're getting that money every month from you and you don't budget, so you don't track it, you don't remember you're paying it, and you just keep paying it. Now, with all that said, I do want to say that budgeting is not for everyone. But if you can find your own form to start doing it in a small way,
Even if it's just a simple budget.
yes, I mean, just the most basics. I have to pay my rent and this and this, and you write it on a whiteboard on your wall and check them off as you pay them. That alone will help. Now, my beautiful wife, who does our books basically across the board, is going to go ahead and walk you through our bills, and I will jump in on certain parts to kind of explain, because some of these numbers are going to sound kind of low to some of you, and I want to share with you how we're doing some of these things so maybe you can integrate those into your budget.
So, there's actually multiple apps out there that you can use to track your budget. Tons of apps, I'm sure. But I use a spreadsheet, I use Google Sheets, and I use that to track our budget, but I also use that to track our income since we're self employed.
Yes, we have so many different streams of income. She has to do that to keep us straight.
All right, so let's go over what we consider our core bills, and then we'll go over the necessities or the disposables. First thing we track is our property taxes and our property insurance. That is $3,100 a year.
Yes, and that has gone up insanely high. So
If you're friends with Tony on Facebook, you've seen it.
Yeah, and yeah, let's just go on beyond that.
All right, the next thing we track is our car tags and our insurance. And that is around $2,000 a year.
Yep. Now that is for two cars with still full coverage, right?
Two cars with full coverage, and the truck is liability.
And we have riders on two of the vehicles, so that's $40 for gig work. It's just an extra blanket layer of protection. You get it on each individual vehicle, doesn't matter who's driving it. Because we do have other people in the car and because we do food service, that's a cost to bake in there. Now,
the next thing we have is our vet bill and their medicine, because our dogs are on the flea and tick and heartworm medicine that they take monthly. So that is around $1,200 a year.
Yep. And I mean, you could probably, if you have an indoor dog and you live in town, you probably could lower that cost. But our dogs literally are in the woods. And with the ticks and the fleas out here, it is a necessity that they have that medicine, and you'd be surprised how much of that total is taken up by that medicine. But it's worth every penny. All right.
Cell phones. So we have Visible, and it's $25 each phone a month, or $50 a month, $600 a year.
Yep.
Electric is approximately $1,200 a year.
There's more to that though, because I know most of you are like, there's no way that you can have a $1,200 a month electric bill on that big old house and that big old property. And you need to understand that A, we are very frugal with electric, and B, we have self-installed solar with a grid tie. We do have videos on that on our other channel, The Frugal Homestead. We put that in and it offsets some of ours. That number is based on a yearly total. So when we're getting bills now for like 100, 120, 150, and then in the summer we may get bills for 50 or 70. So it's a round year thing, but yes, our solar helps offset it some.
Next thing is the internet, and that's about $900 a year.
Yep. And next is
Health insurance, and that is $600 a year, and we buy that through the marketplace.
that also includes dental, basic vision, and a black card from Planet Fitness.
Yes.
All in that total. So that health insurance is well worth the money we're spending.
So that is all of our core bills in the year.
You forgot one.
I did?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. So sorry. This one's a big one, and you're going to be surprised by it. But since we do gig work, it is a high number. And that is our gas bill. And that's gasoline for the cars.
Yep.
$6,000 a year.
Now, let's lay this out in a different structure because that sounds insane. But we spend generally $100 in gas, making $1,000 to $1,200 a week between our cars. That also includes my truck for things we do on the farm, the firewood business, traveling for vacations. So when it comes out and it comes out in the wash, it usually comes out that we spend about $500 a month in gas.
Yes.
When you're averaging it for the year round, which gives you the $6,000 number. Now, $100 to make $1,000. I mean, I think you can add that up. But I will say that I know plenty of people that spend more than we do on gas just to drive to their job.
Well, I mean, whenever I used to work in Columbus, I did.
Yeah. So, you know, it may sound like a lot, but I think if people would sit down and figure out how much they spend in gas, you probably wouldn't be that far off on us, and we drive a lot. So, all right. So we've come to our yearly total for all those and our monthly total for all those. So why don't you go ahead and share those numbers?
So our yearly total is $15,600. Monthly, if we divided it up that way, would be $1,300.
So our core bills, which we all went over with you, basically come out under $16,000 or under $1,300 a month. I think that's pretty good, honestly, considering what all we're doing. Now, it's important to note that we're building an Airbnb here. We're building this tiny house. These are not included in these budgets. They have their own budgets, and they have places that money comes in to pay for those budgets. So this is our personal budget is what we're sharing here. Now, we need to talk about disposable here. So you want to run us through kind of how we ballpark our disposable income monthly?
Yeah, so our food, our dog's food, and entertainment such as going out to dinner with friends or going camping for the night, things of that nature, runs us approximately $500 is what our budget is for that.
Yeah, and that can include even like going out and picking up some special food for like UFC fight nights when we have family come over, or holidays, or other things. You know, we just kind of have that number there. We try not to exceed that number a month in how we do things.
So are you going to explain to them on our vacation budget?
Yep, I'll walk them through it. So here's the deal with vacation. We are extremely frugal, but we also spend a lot of time on vacation. If you've checked out some of our previous videos, we spent 4 weeks last year on vacation for somewhere in the neighborhood of $2,200 for everything lock, stock, and barrel. That's sites, camping, cabins, Airbnb for our share with couples, gas,
Food,
drinks,
gas,
everything.
everything.
So we generally set up our vacation fund for the year at $2,500. Now what'll happen is every couple of years we do more. We have one big year, and that's actually this coming year. It's considerably more. But that's kind of where we lay it down. We try to do $2,500, and that would equate out to 4 weeks of vacation, whether it be a 5-day, 7-day, it doesn't really matter. There will be small ones mixed in there for a few dollars here, a few dollars there, going to a state park or going on a long camping trip. But those usually have very little cost, so it still kind of bakes into that number. Now, I do want to say that our vacation budgets sometimes get built a year in advance. So that's why it's not part of our actual budget, because we may be paying for vacation stuff the previous year because we're planning early to get into some of these places at a better price. So it's hard to bake that into any of these normal yearly numbers. Now, with that said, I think that we've been as transparent and pulled back the curtain as much as we can. But what you don't see in our budget is a lot of like streaming services, a lot of auto pays. I think the only thing we have on auto pay is a cell phone because it has to be. So, I mean, real health insurance. Health insurance is on auto pay.
Mm-hmm. No vehicle payments. No credit card. We do use a credit card, but we pay it off monthly. So we don't have a bunch of credit card payments in there.
No rent, no mortgage.
Big one.
I mean, that's going to be a big one on most people's list. And the reason why we can run around at $1,300 a month for our core bills is because we don't have rent, because we don't have house payments, because we don't have car payments. And building a budget is how it got us to that. Mm-hmm. Knowing where our money is spending. And I mean, I'm not going to be mean and throw our kids completely under the bus, but they live that life. They live that, do I have money in the bank to pay for stuff? I have to call and check. I don't call and check. I know what's in the bank. It's in my head. I don't even need a checkbook. I know what's in the bank. And that's how a lot of people live their lives. And they're just like, I'll just sign up for auto pay and forget it.
And about once a year, they'll come to us, we'll get in a conversation, and we'll say, well, have you checked your bank account lately? And they'll be like, no, we don't even look at our statements. And then they go in there and they find all of these auto pays that they don't even use.
Yeah.
So
for the whole year,
they've been paying for it and they don't even use the service that it is. And then we get them to shut it off. And then by the next year, they've signed up for more.
Yeah, a lot of times these auto pays, like, I'll be honest, when it first started, the Amazon auto pay, for Prime was probably a good idea. But I'm getting packages now without Prime before people that with Prime are getting theirs. So I think that's useless. And anybody who wants to say different, that's fine. But I can do it with free shipping by saying I'm going to wait a few more days and it shows up 2 days later. So
yeah,
you're not beating me with Prime.
We're not usually.
The reasoning is all these things you sign up for, half of them you don't use enough to be valuable. Mm-hmm. And the other half of it is just you forget about it.
They do a free trial for 30 days. You can cancel anytime, and you forget to go back and cancel. And they're banking on you not going back in and canceling. Businesses
would rather have a smaller amount every month and hope that you forget about them than to take a one-time payment. Now, I will say that there is a lot of things where you can do a one-time payment and save 20% or 15% or 10%. So that can make for a pretty good deal. But we don't really need any of those things. I mean, honestly, anything I want to watch on TV, I can find. I don't need to really pay for it. I know I'm not going to get into my piracy background, but we'll just say I can watch whatever I want. So I don't need to pay for it.
But all in all, if you take nothing else away from this, make sure you start your budget. Try and follow your budget, but don't stress over it. Sometimes we just go over on things.
Yeah. Yep.
And then you got to look at it. Can I fix this and get it back down to budget, or do I need to raise the budget?
Yeah, and things are going to come to the budget, like a car blows up or things are going to happen. And all you do is adjust the budget the next couple months to offset whatever happened, or change it long term. Say, now we can't have ESPN app because
Right.
the car blew up and I had to put a motor in, so I'll save that money back by not having that service for this long.
Right.
And then once you get caught up, then put it back into the budget. There's nothing where you can have whatever you want. All we're saying is know what you're paying for by using a budget. It could be a simple structure. Like I said, put a whiteboard, write down all your bills, and go through every month. Check, 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 paid. And then whatever you have left, hey, maybe kick a little bit of, put into the budget to invest a little bit. It'll get you forward and get you to where you need to be in life, because the number one goal of life, no matter what they tell you, is not to die broke.
Right.
Do not spend the ending years of your life living off $200 or $400, whatever the government gives you after taxes. That's not the way to live. Use this budget to start now, improving your future. And you and your family and your grandkids and everyone will enjoy it more if you do. But with that said, I think we've explained it out pretty well. Look into budgets. If you are a techie person, check out all the different apps they have, because you can literally have everything connected up and it'll just auto
Drop
migrate.
us some links in the comments below if you know of good budgets that other people can use.
Yep, whether it's a template for a spreadsheet or whether it's an app, I'd love to have it down there, a resource for other people to use. And with that said, if you haven't already, and I don't know why you wouldn't have, guys, go down, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell so you see all of our upcoming videos. Give us a like. Let us know down in the comments, do you budget? And we will see you in the next one.